Maya Brooks was 29 years old when the past found her in the middle of a hospital shift. The emergency room was loud that night, crowded with alarms, shouted orders, and the sharp smell of disinfectant. Maya had been on her feet for nearly 11 hours, moving from bed to bed with a quiet efficiency that came from long practice. She was adjusting an 4 when her phone vibrated in her pocket. She ignored it. Personal calls had no place here. 20 minutes later, during a rare pause, she checked the screen. One missed voicemail. Unknown number. The area code was from her hometown. Her chest tightened. Nothing good ever came from that place. She stared at the notification in the break room, lights buzzing overhead, coffee cooling in her hand. She almost deleted it. Instead, she pressed play. The voice on the recording was calm, professional. Ms. Brooks, my name is Natalie Pierce. I'm an investigative journalist working on a piece about family influences. I believe you are the daughter of Catherine Moore. Maya froze. The name still carried weight, even after 12 years of silence. The message continued. Natalie explained she had found old school records listing Maya as Catherine Moore's child, despite Catherine publicly claiming she had only 2 children. I'd like to hear your side of the story, the voice said gently. The call ended. Maya sat alone in the dim room, heart pounding. She had built a life where Catherine Moore did not exist. A career, an apartment, friends who knew nothing about the girl she used to be. One voicemail threatened to reopen everything she had buried. Before I continue, I need to ask you a quick favor. We're working toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and your support truly makes a difference. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, like this video, and tell me where you're watching from. That single click helps this channel grow and allows me to keep bringing you stories like this. Maya did not return the call that night. She finished her shift, drove home in silence, and lay awake until morning. By sunrise, curiosity and fear had twisted together into something she could not ignore. She searched Catherine Moore's name online for the first time in years. The results filled her screen instantly. Catherine was everywhere. A best-selling parenting book. Magazine features. 500,000 followers praising her warmth, patience, and devotion to family. Photos showed a flawless household. Catherine smiling beside her husband Andrew, their daughter Olivia, and their son Ethan. The family looked complete. Maya scrolled through dozens of posts, then hundreds. Birthday parties. School graduations. Holiday mornings. She was not in a single one. It was not that Maya had been forgotten. She recognized the scenes. She remembered standing just outside the frame. In some photos, she could see the empty space where she used to be, the edge of a couch or the corner of a staircase cut too cleanly. The realization settled slowly but firmly. She had been removed on purpose. Growing up, Maya learned to stay quiet because it made things easier. She ate dinners silently while Olivia talked and Ethan laughed. When Catherine filmed videos in the kitchen, Maya stayed upstairs. When school awards were announced, Maya walked home alone. Andrew noticed, sometimes, but never intervened. Your mother is under a lot of pressure, he used to whisper. Just don't upset her. Over time, Maya learned what that meant. Do not ask for attention. Do not compete for space. Do not exist too loudly. The internet version of Catherine Moore reflected that lesson perfectly. A family built on absence, presented as harmony. Maya closed her laptop, hands shaking. Natalie Pierce's voicemail replayed in her mind. Someone outside the family had noticed the missing piece. For the first time in 12 years, Maya wondered what would happen if she stopped pretending she had never been there. The first time Catherine Moore erased Maya, Maya was 14. It was 2 days before Christmas, and Catherine was preparing to launch her parenting blog. She called Maya into the home office, asking for help scanning old family photos. Maya was eager. It was rare for her mother to involve her in anything important. She carefully placed each photograph on the scanner, treating them like fragile proof that she belonged. One picture made her smile. It showed the family the year before, Andrew lifting Maya onto his shoulders to place a star on the tree, Olivia laughing beside them, Ethan asleep in Catherine's arms. They looked happy. Whole. Catherine studied the photo, then opened editing software. Maya watched the cursor move. What are you doing? She asked. Catherine didn't look up. The composition will be better this way, she said evenly. The selection box closed in, trimming the image. When Catherine clicked save, Maya was gone. The space where she had been standing vanished, replaced by a clean edge. Catherine smiled at the screen. Perfect. Maya stood frozen, heat rising to her face.
That moment never came up again. But it didn't need to.
From then on, Maya disappeared a little more each year. She missed her 15th birthday dinner because Catherine was filming Olivia's recital. Parent-teacher meetings started late or didn't happen. Praise was reserved for the children who fit the image Catherine was building. Maya learned to be invisible because invisibility hurt less than rejection.
There was one adult who noticed.
Mrs. Caldwell, Maya's 8th-grade English teacher, sometimes sat with her at lunch.
Once, she gently asked if everything was okay at home. Maya lied.
Weeks later, Mrs. Caldwell filed a report anyway, documenting signs of neglect. The case was quietly closed without investigation.
Maya never knew until years later.
At 14, she only knew that being erased had become routine.
Maya left home at 17. She did not run away.
She packed a backpack and walked out after Catherine told her, calmly, that some children were easier to love than others. Maya had just received a full scholarship to an accelerated nursing program. She had stood in the living room holding the acceptance letter, waiting for acknowledgement that never came. Catherine was busy filming Olivia baking cookies, coaching her on camera angles and posture. When Maya asked for 5 minutes to talk, Catherine sighed. "You make everything difficult," she said. "If you were easier to love, I'd try harder."
That night, Maya left. No one stopped her. No one followed.
The next morning, Catherine posted a video titled Self-Care Sunday with My Kids.
Olivia and Ethan smiled at the camera.
Maya officially ceased to exist. 12 years later, that silence shattered with Natalie Pierce's voicemail. 2 days passed before Maya returned the call. They met at a coffee shop far from both of their neighborhoods.
Natalie was direct.
She explained she was investigating influencers who built careers on false narratives.
Catherine Moore was one of them.
Maya listened, guarded but attentive. When Natalie asked for proof, Maya thought of the box in her closet, untouched for over a decade.
At home that night, she opened it for the first time.
Inside were original photographs, unedited, showing Maya clearly present. There was also an old email Catherine had sent to her literary agent, Vanessa Cole. The words were unmistakable. "I have 2 children. Please never mention Maya Brooks in any materials. She is not part of this narrative." Maya sat on her bed, holding evidence of a choice that had shaped her entire life.
The decision to speak did not come easily.
Maya was afraid of being dismissed, labeled unstable, or accused of seeking attention. She was afraid of hurting Olivia and Ethan, who had grown up believing the family story Catherine told. She was also afraid of confirming the lie she had carried for years, that she was the problem. What changed her mind was a quiet moment at work. An elderly patient, recovering from surgery, asked if Maya had family.
"It's complicated," Maya said. The woman smiled gently.
"Complicated usually means there's a story worth telling." The words followed Maya home. She called Natalie that night and agreed to move forward, with conditions. Everything would be factual. No exaggeration. No attacks. Olivia and Ethan would be protected. Natalie agreed. 3 days later, Catherine announced a live television interview to promote her book. The station billed it as a family values segment. Natalie saw the opening immediately. Maya hesitated, then said yes. The interview would be live. Catherine would not know Maya was coming. When a cease and desist email arrived from Catherine's lawyer days later, Maya did not respond. Once evidence is public, legal threats often lose their power. The night before the interview, Maya organized her documents the way she organized patient charts. Originals beside edited versions. Dates highlighted. Everything clear and verifiable. She barely slept. In the morning, she dressed carefully, choosing clothes that made her feel steady, not armored. She was not doing this for revenge. She was doing it because silence had protected the wrong person for too long. When Maya Brooks walked into the studio later that day, she was no longer the missing piece in someone else's story. She was about to tell her own. The television studio was smaller than Maya expected. The carpet was worn, the lights harsh and utilitarian rather than glamorous. Folding chairs filled the space where an audience would sit, mostly middle-aged women holding tote bags and notebooks. This was not a spectacle-driven show. It was intimate. That made it more dangerous. Maya checked in with security using her real name. The guard frowned at his list and made a call. A producer appeared moments later and led her down a narrow hallway without explanation. That was when Maya heard her mother's laugh. It drifted from the green room ahead, polished and familiar, unchanged by time. Maya slowed, heart pounding. Catherine Moore stepped into view first, dressed in soft cream fabric, perfectly styled. Andrew followed, looking tense. Olivia walked beside them, smiling too carefully. Ethan trailed behind, eyes lowered. For a moment, no one noticed Maya. Then Olivia stopped. Her face drained of color. "Maya," she whispered. Catherine turned. The mask slipped for half a second. Shock flickered into anger, then vanished behind practiced calm. "What are you doing here?" she asked sharply. "I was invited," Maya replied evenly. Before Catherine could respond, the producer intervened. "We'll live in 5 minutes," she said. "Everyone to positions." Catherine was ushered toward the set. Maya was led to a small side room with monitors showing the live feed. Natalie Pierce was already there, tablet in hand. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Maya nodded, though her pulse said otherwise. On screen, Catherine settled into her chair, smiling for the cameras. The past 12 years pressed in on Maya all at once. This was no longer theoretical. The story was about to be told, with or without her. The host, Susan Miller, opened the segment with practiced warmth. "We're joined today by Catherine Moore, author of the new book Raising with Grace." Catherine leaned forward, radiant. Susan asked about parenting philosophy, about presence and balance. Catherine answered smoothly. "I've always believed that children thrive when they know they are seen," she said. "I never miss a moment." Maya watched from the side room, jaw tight. Susan turned to Andrew next, then to Olivia and Ethan. Olivia smiled, hands folded in her lap. Ethan stared at the floor. "Some critics say social media presents an unrealistic image of family life," Susan continued. "What do you say to that?" Catherine laughed lightly. "What you see is our real life. Imperfect, but full of love." Natalie glanced at Maya. "You're up in 2 minutes," she said. Maya picked up her folder. Her hands were steady. Years of suppressing emotion had taught her control. When Susan announced a brief break, the producer entered the side room. "You'll join us after the commercial," she said. "The audience has been told someone close to the family has a different perspective." Maya took a deep breath. When the lights came back up, Susan spoke carefully. "We have a guest joining us who says her experience with this family is very different. Please welcome Maya Brooks." Maya walked onto the set. Catherine's smile froze. Andrew looked away. Olivia inhaled sharply. Ethan's head lifted for the first time. Maya sat down across from her mother. The distance between them was less than 3 feet. It felt like miles. Susan turned to Maya. "You claim to be Catherine Moore's daughter. Can you explain?" Maya met her mother's eyes and spoke calmly. "Catherine Moore is my biological mother. I lived in her home until I was 17. Then I left." The room went silent. Catherine responded instantly. "This is my estranged daughter," she said smoothly. "She's struggled for years and has a history of instability." Maya did not react. She had expected this. "I'm a registered nurse," Maya said. "I have no mental health diagnoses. I can provide employment and medical clearance records." Catherine hesitated. The interruption disrupted her rhythm. Susan raised her hand gently. "Maya, what evidence do you have to support your claim?" Maya opened the folder and removed the first photograph. "This is a Christmas photo from 2008, she said. "The original." She handed it to Susan. 4 children were visible. Susan then held up the second image. "This is the version published on Catherine's blog." The difference was undeniable. Gasps rippled through the audience. Maya was gone from the second image, replaced by empty space. "This proves nothing," Catherine said tightly. "Photos are cropped all the time." Maya nodded. "That's why I brought documentation." She passed Susan a printed email. "This is from Catherine to her literary agent, Vanessa Cole, dated March 2012. Susan read aloud the highlighted line. "I have 2 children. Please never mention Maya Brooks in any materials. She is not part of this narrative." Silence fell hard. Catherine's composure cracked. "That email is out of context," she said. Maya responded evenly. "What context makes erasing your child acceptable?" Catherine turned toward the camera, voice rising. "This is a targeted attack." Susan interrupted gently but firmly. "Maya, is there more?" Maya nodded. "When I was 13, my teacher filed a Child Protective Services report citing neglect. It was closed without investigation." Catherine stood abruptly. "That's a lie."
Before anyone else could speak, Olivia broke down. "Stop," she said through tears. "Just stop." The word echoed. Catherine looked at her daughter, stunned. The cameras cut to commercial. When filming paused, chaos followed. Catherine tried to leave the set, but Vanessa Cole intercepted her, phone in hand. "The publisher is suspending the release," she said flatly. "Effective immediately." Catherine stared at her, speechless. Vanessa continued. "I don't represent clients who fabricate their family narrative." She walked away. Catherine remained frozen, watching her career unravel in real time. Maya stayed seated, folder closed, breathing slow. Ethan crossed the stage and wrapped his arms around her. "I remember you," he whispered. "I always did." Maya hugged him back. Olivia approached next, eyes red. "I didn't know," she said. "But I want to." Maya nodded. "We can talk." That night, clips spread across social media. Headlines followed. Catherine's follower count dropped by the hour. Natalie's article published the next morning, including corroboration from Mrs. Caldwell, whose CPS report had been quietly closed years earlier. Catherine released a tearful video days later, framing the situation as misunderstanding. Maya declined to respond. The evidence spoke clearly. Life did not return to normal. It moved forward instead. Olivia began therapy. Ethan visited Maya on weekends. Andrew called once, apologized without excuses. Maya did not forgive him, but she listened. 6 months later, Catherine's platforms were gone. The book was never released. Maya's apartment filled with photographs where no one was missing. She kept one image on her mantel. The unedited Christmas photo. Not as proof anymore, but as memory. Maya Brooks had not destroyed her mother. She had simply refused to disappear again. The story ended where it needed to, not with revenge, but with truth, boundaries, and a life finally lived in full view. The week after the interview moved slowly, as if time itself needed space to absorb what had happened. Maya returned to work without fanfare. Her co-workers knew something had occurred, but no one pressed her for details. She was grateful for that. The hospital remained a place where truth mattered more than appearances. Patients did not care about curated lives. They cared about steady hands and honest answers. Maya gave them both. Messages flooded her phone in the evenings. Some were from strangers who said they had watched the interview and recognized their own childhoods in her story. Others came from people she had not spoken to in years. A few apologized for not noticing sooner. Maya read them carefully but replied sparingly. Validation felt good, but it was not what she was after. She had not spoken to be believed. She had spoken to stop hiding. One message arrived from Natalie Pierce. The article had been nominated for a regional journalism award. Natalie thanked Maya for trusting her with the truth. Maya replied with a simple acknowledgement. Gratitude did not erase the cost, but it made it bearable. That same night, Maya received a text from an unknown number. The message was brief. "You didn't have to do this." She recognized Catherine's voice immediately. Maya did not respond. She blocked the number and placed the phone face down. For the first time, she understood that silence could be chosen, not imposed. This silence belonged to her. Olivia came to Maya's apartment 5 days later carrying a cardboard box. She looked smaller without the practiced confidence she had learned at home. "I found these in the attic," she said quietly. Inside the box were photographs Maya had never seen. School events, birthday parties, group shots where Maya stood clearly beside her siblings. Each had a matching published version where Maya was gone. They sat on the floor for hours, spreading the images out like evidence and memories intertwined. Olivia asked questions slowly, carefully, as if afraid the answers might break something fragile. Maya told her the truth without embellishment. She spoke plainly about silence, about learning to disappear, about leaving without being chased. Olivia cried openly. "I thought our childhood was perfect," she said. "Now I don't know what was real." "It was real for you," Maya said gently. "Love doesn't become fake just because it wasn't shared equally." Olivia nodded, absorbing the difference. Before leaving, she hugged Maya tightly. "I want to know my sister," she said. Maya returned the hug without hesitation. Ethan visited the following weekend. He brought groceries and awkward jokes and an unspoken promise to keep showing up. With him, Maya felt no need to explain herself. He remembered her not as a threat to an image, but as a person who had once made pancakes and read bedtime stories. That version of her still existed. Andrew asked to meet 2 weeks later.
Maya chose a public cafe, not out of fear, but clarity. He looked older than she remembered, thinner, worn down by years of avoidance.
He apologized without defending himself.
He admitted he had known what Catherine was doing and had chosen comfort over confrontation.
"I was wrong," he said.
Every day. Maya listened. She did not interrupt or soften the truth for him. When he finished, she spoke carefully.
"I don't know if I can forgive you," she said.
"But I accept that you finally said it." Andrew nodded, understanding that this was not rejection, but honesty.
They parted without promises.
Maya felt no guilt.
Forgiveness, she realized, was not an obligation.
Catherine called once more, weeks later. Maya answered. Catherine spoke about loss, about misunderstanding, about pain.
She did not apologize. She explained.
Maya listened, then said quietly, "I don't need your explanation anymore."
Catherine fell silent. Maya ended the call politely.
That night, Maya slept deeply for the first time in months. Not because everything was resolved, but because nothing was unresolved inside her. The need to be seen by Catherine had loosened its grip.
What remained was space.
Space to build something healthier.
6 months passed.
Catherine's online presence faded into obscurity.
The book was never released. Public attention moved on, as it always did.
Maya's life grew quieter and fuller at the same time.
She framed new photos for her walls. None were staged. None were cropped.
Olivia started therapy and called often. Their conversations ranged from difficult truths to mundane plans. Ethan spent holidays with Maya, choosing her small apartment over the house he no longer recognized.
Andrew sent cards. Maya read them. She did not reply yet.
That choice remained hers. Natalie Pierce won the Journalism Award and dedicated it to a friend who had not survived her own family's silence. Mrs. Caldwell became an advocate for stronger follow-up on child welfare reports. Maya watched these ripples with quiet respect. Truth did not always heal everything, but it changed what came next. Maya was promoted to senior nurse. The title mattered less than the confidence she felt wearing it.
She had stopped shrinking. Patients noticed. Colleagues trusted her judgment.
At night, she wrote in a journal, not to document pain, but to record clarity.
She was no longer writing to prove she existed. She was writing because she did.
Sometimes, Maya still opened the old folder. Not as evidence, but as history. The photographs no longer felt heavy. They felt distant, like artifacts from another life. She kept one image displayed openly, the unedited family photo from years ago. Not because it showed happiness, but because it showed truth. Maya had not destroyed her mother. She had refused to remain invisible. That difference mattered. The exposure was not an act of cruelty. It was a boundary drawn after years of erasure. She understood now that some people remove others not because they are flawed, but because they reflect something uncomfortable. Being edited out had never been her fault. Her life was not perfect. It was honest. She had work that mattered, siblings who chose her, and a home that felt safe. She no longer waited to be included. She included herself. When Maya looked at her reflection now, she did not search for what was wrong. She recognized who she was. A woman who survived silence and spoke anyway. A woman who learned that existence does not require permission. A year passed quietly. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm has moved on, leaving the landscape altered but stable. Maya no longer checked Catherine Moore's name online. She did not need updates to confirm what had already ended. Public attention had faded, as it always did, but the private changes remained. Olivia finished her first full year of therapy and spoke more freely now, less careful with her words. Ethan transferred closer to Maya's city and stopped apologizing for choosing distance from their parents. Their relationships were not perfect, but they were real. Maya learned that healing did not arrive all at once. It came in small, ordinary moments. Grocery shopping without dread. Sleeping through the night. Laughing without bracing for consequences. She noticed how often she had once scanned rooms for approval. That habit slowly loosened its grip. At work, she trained new nurses, steady and confident. Patients trusted her. Colleagues sought her judgment. She no longer minimized herself to fit someone else's comfort. Andrew continued to send cards. Sometimes they contained remorse, sometimes confusion. Maya read them when she felt ready. She had learned that distance did not have to mean anger. It could simply mean honesty about limits. Catherine never reached out again. Maya did not wonder why. Some silences speak clearly. Maya accepted that her mother's understanding might never come. Acceptance, she realized, did not require agreement or reconciliation. It only required letting go of expectations that had never been met. One afternoon, Maya visited Mrs. Caldwell. They sat at a small kitchen table, sunlight spilling across old books and framed photographs of former students. Mrs. Caldwell apologized again for not being able to protect her years ago.
Maya shook her head. "You tried," she said.
That mattered. Mrs. Caldwell smiled, relieved. On the drive home, Maya thought about how easily systems failed quiet children. How often absence went unnoticed unless it disrupted something visible. Her story had forced attention, but it was not unique.
That understanding grounded her.
She did not see herself as exceptional. She saw herself as one of many who had learned to survive being overlooked. Maya began volunteering with a mentorship program for teenagers entering healthcare fields.
She never shared her story unless asked. She focused on listening instead. On noticing who stayed silent. On making sure no one felt erased in the room.
At home, she replaced the old folder with a smaller box. Inside were letters, photos, and notes from the present. Proof of continuity, not damage. She kept the past acknowledged but no longer central. Maya understood now that telling the truth had not fixed everything. It had simply allowed her to stop lying to herself. That freedom changed how she moved through the world. She was no longer reacting. She was choosing. On a quiet Sunday evening, Olivia and Ethan joined Maya for dinner. They cooked together, argued lightly about music, and ate too much dessert.
Nothing about the night felt dramatic. That was the point.
Maya watched her siblings move comfortably through her space and felt something settle in her chest.
Belonging no longer felt temporary.
Later, Olivia asked a question she had been circling for months. Do you ever wish it had gone differently?
Maya considered it carefully.
I wish I hadn't learned to disappear, she said. But I don't wish I'd stayed silent. Olivia nodded, absorbing the distinction. After they left, Maya cleaned the kitchen slowly.
She noticed how calm her thoughts felt.
No replaying conversations.
No rehearsing defenses. Just quiet. She realized then that peace was not something she had to earn.
It arrived when she stopped negotiating her existence. She stood in front of the framed photo on her wall, not the old family picture, but a recent one. 3 siblings smiling at a kitchen table, imperfect and unposed.
No one cropped. No one missing.
Maya no longer measured her life by what had been taken from her. She measured it by what she had chosen to keep. Occasionally, people still asked Maya if she regretted going public.
She answered honestly.
No, not because it had been easy, but because the alternative had been erasure. Silence would have preserved an image, not her well-being.
She understood now that exposure was not punishment. It was consequence.
Catherine Moore's career had not collapsed because Maya spoke. It collapsed because it was built on omission. Maya did not carry responsibility for what could not withstand truth. Some nights, old doubts still surfaced. The familiar whisper of being difficult, unlovable, too much.
Maya had learned not to argue with that voice. She acknowledged it and let it pass. Trauma left echoes. Healing taught her which ones to ignore. Her life was not remarkable from the outside. A job she cared about. A small apartment. A chosen family.
But from the inside, it was stable.
Honest. Complete.
Maya had stopped waiting to be recognized. She recognized herself. Maya Brooks did not set out to destroy her mother.
She set out to exist.
The difference mattered. One came from anger. The other came from necessity. She understood now that some people edit others out not because they are wrong, but because they are evidence. Evidence of imperfection. Evidence of truth. Evidence that a story is incomplete. Maya had been removed because she did not fit a narrative built on flawlessness.
That had never been her failure. She closed the chapter without ceremony.
No final confrontation. No dramatic reconciliation. Just boundaries held and a life lived fully within them. Maya woke each morning knowing who she was.
A nurse. A sister.
A woman who survived being unseen and chose visibility on her own terms. Her worth no longer depended on acknowledgement from the person who withheld it first. The past no longer defined the frame of her life.
It was simply part of the picture.
And for the first time, the picture was whole. Thank you for taking the time to watch this story. Sometimes the hardest thing a person can do is stop shrinking and choose to be seen. If this story reminded you that your feelings matter and your voice has value, then it did its job. Healing doesn't always look loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and deeply personal. I appreciate you being here until the end. Don't forget to subscribe, it is completely free. Like the video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Take care, and thank you for watching.